Welcome to the 6th round of the Rapid Tournament. We are currently 5 out of 5 with 100% and facing one of the potential candidates to win this tournament. He is just half point behind me and a very strong candidate master rated around 2200. We started the game. He opened with knight to f3. I played d5 and he chooses very specific line e3. So these ready systems and openings are always annoying, and it was one of my hard parts in my generally chess development. I played knight f6, he played c4, I played e6, and after knight c3 I proceed with bishop d6 line. I think that this defense is very original because after b3 my original idea is to go knight c6. And usually this knight is very uncomfortable for the queen on c2, and in many cases there is knight b4 if he didn't play the move a3 before that. And after bishop b2, generally the whole plan is castling, and after taking to go e5. So that's why bishop and knight are here to support e5. I remember now there is very annoying line knight b5, bishop b7, and something like knight e5. If I'm not mistaken, maybe I am actually. There's something like that, or here, if I go bishop b7, maybe he can go d4 or something, and to generally move my bishop from e7. But he instead went for bishop e2. And now at this point, the whole point of that line is to take on c4, and when he retakes, just to go for e5. If he did take with pawn, then e5 and stopping d4, it's very nice. Then I want to go e4 myself, followed by rook e8, and black is getting very nice central control. Instead, he took with bishop, and anyways, I pushed the move e5. So my plan is to go e4, bishop f5, rook e8. Depends where this knight goes. If he goes on g5, I have to wait with the move rook e8. h6 is generally useful in these lines, and general idea for white is to play queen c2, bishop d3, and to go alongside castles. He's kind of playing this Count Sicilian variation, or I think it's called something like Scheveningen also, where these bishops are very strong, and when black commits castles too early, this could be really, really annoying attack. So I think before he generally goes queen c2, he has to play something like a3, but he decided to go queen c2 directly. And here what I missed is very nice plan of knight b4 and after queen b1, which is a logical move. Otherwise, we will be able to go bishop f5 followed by knight c2 or knight d3, and they will definitely be in trouble. So after queen b1, there is a very strong move for black, and that's the move c6. So after they kick my knight from a3, I have a very nice spot on d5, and that's the whole point. For some reason, I missed that opportunity. I forgot about the move c6 and that my knight is actually stable here. Playing e4 here is definitely bad because of knight f4, or just making trades is correcting my pawn structure, and now my pawn center is just, much better than his pawn center, followed by rook e8, maybe bishop g4, rook c8, and black is dominating this game. So queen c2, as I mentioned, is a plan to create castles. I want to play something like rook e8, followed by knight to d4, but now knight g5 is very annoying, so this move is not possible. And I saw that during the game, because now I have to go back with my rook. That wastes a lot of time, and already here there is some threats of, checkmate patterns. I have to be careful. So rook e8 is the plan, but that's what is annoying in these ready systems, that black has to be careful and play something like h6 on time to avoid all of these problems. So now h6 is possible move, which is recommended also by engine, but knight b4 is the best because there is c6 and knight d5 idea. At this point now I'm thinking that maybe a6 is great idea because I'm stopping some knight b5 or bishop b5 and generally allowing me to go b5, which is also a solid plan. I want to put maybe my bishop on b7. He played a3, so he actually stops my move knight b4, which is actually a strong idea. I want to go b5, and if he goes bishop to d3, I want to play bishop knight b4. So that's also very important move for them. I still cannot play rook e8 because of knight g5. Before that, I need to remove this bishop from c4 to kick him away, but he will safely play on d3 without any problem because he blocked the b4 square. So now when I already played the move a6, b5 is more or less like was my plan. It's creating the weaknesses on the c line, but later on maybe b4 could be an interesting idea. So I pushed b5. Of course, you should care all about discoveries here to, not blunder something. It's creating the weaknesses and allows white slightly more comfortable position according to computer, but black is still fine without any big problems. Now if you start some plan, then you should finish your plan. So since there is no any attacks on this diagonal, for now, playing bishop b7 was my original idea. And my plan is to go h6, to go rook e8, maybe e4 at some point. I also have idea of knight e4 after rook e8, but I guess that he won't castle long for sure. Also, since now pawn is on b5, there is amazing move b4 here. And, if they take, of course, knight will replace it. And if he goes something like a5, then we'll play knight f5. Depends if this knight remains on c3. So that's why he wants to move this knight and open up this bishop angle. So possible squares for knight is e4, which he played it, and this is the best move according to Engine. So now what is a big problem is that I don't have time to take on e4. I'm simply losing because now my knight is hanging, and when I play knight f5, there's just bishop takes h7, king h8, and I'm in lost position. He'll play h4, knight g5, bishop g8, checkmate tactics, and I'm in a big trouble. So knight e4 actually catch me off guard here. I couldn't find the immediate defense. There is defense, but I didn't find it directly. I was looking for, going also some sacrifices like knight e4 here, if that's possible, or something. Then I also realized that he wants just to take my knight, and after I take back to take on h7. And I also can't play g6, that looks very ugly. He will simply take and maybe play again, move bishop e4. So I played h6, that's the best move. Where now taking on f6, queen takes f6, bishop h7, that's generally the move when you want to move the king in the corner for the endgame. And now bishop e4, where I would most probably look for saving the bishop with knight f5, because I cannot play bishop e7. He'll simply, trade on c6 and then win the pawn on e5, or he'll just go rook c1, which wins the game on the spot for white because so many pawns will fall. That's the best idea for white after h6, and also to stop knight g5. But this take is annoying here, and that's the point in this line for white. They want to exchange this knight because it blocks this bishop, and simply my knight on f6 is great defender, so he want to exchange the defender for bad piece and proceed with kingside attack. Like, usually the plan for white is to go h4, g4, and this looks very scary, to be honest, because generating the counterplay for me is really hard here. Like, my only counterplay is to go something like b4 and trying to regain the square for myself, but he might block with a5, then I have to look about some moves like a knight f5, if that exists, and so on. But there is no concrete vision for black. How do I actually exploit it? How I actually break through? Feels very solid for white, and it is. Like, Engine is really recommending this position for white. I'm seeing already some sacrifices, like g4 is definitely an amazing move here, but he decided to start with rook g1, which is actually very uncomfortable move on the first glance, but g4 was much stronger. So why Engine dislikes this move? The reason why also feels slow, and b4 is here actually now the best move. The point is, of course, they're not gonna take, but what happens after a4? Then you go knight a5, and now simple threat is to take twice on e4, and after queen take back, then you take on b3, and you win the pawn. And if he tries to, get something in the middle, like let's say knight takes e5, you can maybe take everything, then take here, then he takes back, then you just exchange every single piece. And on the end of the day, maybe you can take on b3, but maybe rook e8 followed by some f6 idea exists here. Like, definitely white is in a lot of trouble here. I couldn't believe that b4 is that strong. Also, I kind of dislike it for a moment because I even saw some moves like later knight c5 that, forces me to do something with these bishops, maybe to give up some of them. And I start thinking a lot here. Like, I see that this plan is also very dangerous, and that I don't have a general plan how to defend this position. After some time thinking, actually spent 4 minutes, almost 4 minutes on this move, I played a move rook e8, and this is the second best move according to Engine. I had a very big plan behind it, and you'll see now in a second what's the point. So now, of course, g4 as the best move according to Engine for white, and the point of rook g1, he has to play it because he started with that. And now here comes my vision with the move rook e8. This move is just amazing. I was very happy that I saw this resource, and that's the move knight e4. So it's really brilliant move because forces the trade and simply opens the line. That's something I wanted. You want to keep close the middle and focus on kingside attack, which is totally understandable. But since we have to find some counterplay, you have to look in this kind of moves. Like, if you don't see obvious counterplay, then maybe counterplay is hiding behind some untypical tactical patterns. And now the point is simple. If he takes with pawn, we take back here with our pawn, and now this knight simply falls. He cannot really defend this knight, and to be honest with you, I'm even better here because let's say after castles, we take this knight and they cannot take back. They lose important bishop, then c5 will happen. This bishop will permanently be closed. If they try something like g5, I'll simply take it. If knight takes, maybe we can even just, I mean, that's the free knight, of course. But if he tries some counterplay, like taking here, loses the knight on f3, so he's really in a big trouble. And this 94 move is really amazing, where the only move to respond on that is knight takes d4. If they try with bishop, then we again simply take. And okay, now maybe the line is not open, but on the other side, he can't move this knight because knight on f3 is hanging. So suddenly, this diagonals, this line, this knight, everything pays off. We have very well coordinated pieces on time. This works. What they can play else here, they can take the knight on f6, which also looks possible. But after queen takes f6, there's a problem. They can't take here because we just simply take with check, and then the knight on f3 falls, or followed by bishop. So that's wrong. If they take here with knight, that could be some sort of transposition also. If he takes firstly here and we take and then take here, that's pretty much the same. Taking on d6 loses to knight takes f3 check because it's coming with tempo. And he decided to take. That's the only move in the position, to take the knight on d4 with knight. To keep this bishop pair, that's more valuable for white, and also cut off all these possibilities of tactics. Now, I don't know why I waste like 20-30 seconds to retake on d4, but you should always proceed so quickly. Like, later on, you would need that time for later game, of course. And now the point is, knight is under the attack, and he has 2 captures. Like, knight takes d6 is the best move, and the only move in the position. And after queen takes, maybe he cannot take here for now, but definitely he can castle, or he can start with g5. To be honest with you, I didn't feel comfortable here in this line, because I know that c5 is not possible. Also, after castling, the diagonals will get open, and like, I definitely think here white is doing practically much better than black. But okay, this is my only line that I can play, and I'll do my best here to stay alive. Like, let's say I might play here, I might find the move bishop f3 to stop the castle, or I might play something like this. Very thought he'll castle for sure, And now the problem is he's already threatening to take here with bishop. I can't play c5, that's my problem. But he surprised me. He took on f6, which directly gives me the advantage after castles. Because after c5, pawn is protected additionally, and this bishop is kind of permanently closed on this diagonal. Also, ideas such as bishop f3 are the best here. I played c5, not a best move according to computer, but it's definitely fine because anyways taking here will open the c line, which is definitely not good for their king. And also just bishop is closed and the attack doesn't work. Like g7 square is always protected. Now my queen and pawn together are controlling the g5 square, so I'm totally fine with the sacrifice. So the reason why c5 is not the best is because f4 here really creates the counterplay. So instead of c5, I should go for bishop f3 first to stop f4. But after c5, he played king b1, which makes sense to me totally because he's getting out of this trouble on the c line. And now before we continue our attack with c4 and, maybe rook b8, rook c8, the urgency of stopping f4 is really huge here. Pawn on h2 is also hanging, and I was thinking to take that pawn. He might play rook g1, and then I might play something like bishop f3 or, maybe something like c4. But instead I went for bishop f3, which is also a very solid move. It simply blocks that for counterplay, moves the rook from d1, getting time on that especially. And I was thinking here, can he go for some sacrifice of exchange and just ignore that rook and start pushing these pawns? Is he in time for that? But unfortunately, he's not. Like, this bishop is always out because of full control over d4. This bishop and queen together in this battery are wrong positions, so they would like to reverse the battery. He played rook c1, which is totally understandable, avoiding the trade. And at this point, now I'm looking how I can make the maximum impact on these lines, because I'm looking forward some sacrifices with c4, but I have to be really careful how I'm doing that. I cannot just go directly c4, or if I'm going directly, I need to calculate. And since we are getting lower in time, both of us, I just want to stay solid and, prepare my attack properly without any, must do stuff like urgency. Do not blunder. So that's the reason why I brought a rook on b8, and that's actually the top engine line. So my threat is sort of c4 here in the next couple of moves, where if bit takes, and then bishop takes a3 appears, and then I can take on e3 since the bishop is pinned. Definitely they're facing some trouble here with these pins, and these bishops are bishop pair, but they're aiming at my side of the board, but they're not doing anything because they're completely closed. He played king a1. That's actually very obvious. He wants to, of course, avoid any sort of problems on the b line and safely continue with pushing on the other side of the board. For some reason here, I panicked in defense and I just played this so terrible move, g6, that simply opens this diagonal, also creates the weaknesses on the g6 square. Like, instead of that, I should just go directly with c4 and start my attack. If the pawn takes, there is b takes, and if bishop takes, some sacrifices, rook takes b2, queen takes b2, followed by rook b8, bishop d4. I don't know why I got scared here and played h6. This allows my opponent to be fast and even, open up the king side easier because my pawns are now in front, the 6th rank. On h4, I played rook e8, and now he pushed g5. It's a very logical continuation for him. I take it, and h takes g5 actually helps me because the g line is then closed, and I'm not scared about the h line since my queen is always on g7 and I'm protecting d4. So that's something I saw, but I completely missed that rook takes g5 here is a very strong move. And after that, his strat is simply bishop takes g6, and suddenly I'm in a big trouble. So I'm now in a little bit shock here. because I just missed that my pawn on g6 is hanging. And how do I protect this? Like, even though I played something like king f8 here, bishop g6 is happening, and after pawn takes, rook takes, maybe I can keep my queen connected with bishops, but the other rook comes to the game, then checks, then queenlet gets in. This is actually practically big trouble for me. Like, that's disaster. So after rook takes g5, I'm definitely in hard time finding the logical, the most practically annoying defense for my opponent. And I picked to go for bishop h5. I dislike that move a lot, but I don't have other option. I didn't see any other option. I want to protect my pawn on g6. He played rook cg1, and I saw that king f8 is getting out of this problem. And now I know that if he tries to sacrifice something and go something like bishop h7 here or bishop f5, I'm safe here because my king will be on e7 totally fine, and I don't have that problem. So after king f8, of course, he is still much better. He needs to start pushing these pawns and opening up the king side, but both of us are under 50 seconds in this segment of the game. He played bishop to f5, which is a very strong move because I cannot take it. The other bishop is falling down. Now I have to play with rook. There is no room for the exchange sacrifice. There is no c4, also d4 is hanging, so I don't have any other options than playing rook c7. He pushed f4 very quickly. He is now in driving seat. Now I also have to play faster because the game is still in front of us. I played queen e7. Now he's completely winning if he, sacrifice here. And if I take, there is bishop h7 and my king cannot get out. If I try something like king e8, he might play queen f5 or bishop f5, and then I'm in a big problem. So on queen e7, I don't know why he got stuck here in his mind, but he started being really skeptical in his moves. So he played bishop g4, which surprised me because this lets me breed for the one move. So we made the trade. He's still winning, of course, but I saw that I can take on e3, and then if he tries some sacrifices here, I might be able to go for e2, but actually rook takes g6, and now white is completely winning because after queen takes on the end, there's checkmate on g8. He actually went for queen c3, I played king e8, and he retake on e3. And this gives me some space to play. So now suddenly my king walks on the queen side, king d7. And then I go king c6 and then king b6, and I'll be safe. So my opponent went rook d1, I play king c6, and I'm already more comfortable than before. Queen d3, and already after rook d7, I'm completely defended here. We are now upper on time here, so he started thinking now. And now black is in the driving seat because my king is safe, and he pushed h5, and this is not good move because this is a free pawn. I can simply take it. I played queen e6, which was not great respawn. I just wanted to stop queen to d5 check to be totally safe. He played rook to g1, and now just simply take the pawn. He pushed f5. I should go queen e8 here to avoid any f6 later. I played queen e7. He gave me check, and I'm still fine here because there is no tactics. Unfortunately, this bishop is on the wrong diagonal. He would like to maybe stay here to attack better queenside. I decided to go for king b6 because on king c7 usually there's some problems with the c line, and he pushed e4 here. This is already a wrong decision because allows me to double up my rooks on the d line, where later on already some discoveries, like I think already bishop e5 is a big threat because the d1 rook later hangs. So he pushed f6, which is natural move, but this allows queen e8 move, and now I have threat again of bishop e5 or bishop f8, and they're in a massive trouble. He pushed b4, and here bishop f8 is the strongest move according to engine, which I played. So we are really playing on 10 seconds here. in a very big time scramble. He played queen b3. I pushed c4, which was wrong. I shouldn't push that. He played check. I played king b7. Allows him some counterplay. He exchanged one rook, take with queen, and he pushed e5. At this point, I disliked the fact king is more open, so that's the reason why I played queen f5, centralizing the queen, supporting some idea with rook d3, maybe c3 later, and practically very human move. Also, the best thing is we are stopping check and infiltration of the white's queen. Queen e2, they want to go queen b7, that's obvious. I saw that, but that's nothing special for now. Even if he gets in with queen here, the maximum what he can do is the perpetual check. So I played h4, he played check, I went king b8. And at this point he went queen e7. Now he has a big threat of e6, and then later e7. That will be discovery check, which is very annoying. That's the reason why I went queen e6. I have to leave this pawn on h4. He took that pawn, and now I rushed a little bit and pushed c3. He take, and then I play rook to d3. According to engine, for some reason white is better here, because he can just drop the bishop back on b2, but he decided to go queen h8, which surprised me, because the bishop was a great defender on b2. So I took this bishop, they took on f8, and I went rook c8. So seems like we are ready for counterplay, but there is one problem here, which gives the draw to white directly, and that's the move queen d6 check. I have to trade the queens. I cannot allow them to create a passer on the f line. So they took back with pawn. And at this point, I do not have ideas such as this or rook c6, because I'm pawn down here, so I have to take at least one here, cannot leave my pawn on f7 unsafe. But he has a very easy pressure on that pawn with rook g7. If I manage to take this one without stress on the f7, then I might be winning here. Like rook g7, rook d7, check, king b7, rook f8. And now looks like black is doing something here, king c6. I will collect everything here, but there is a very big problem with a counterplay on a6. And that's why this endgame is completely equal, because always and always generate a counterplay in the rook endgame. Do not think about your pawns. Try to find the best counterplay. So I play king b7. He went back to f8. Playing rook e8 could also be possible earlier, but then this falls with checks. I play king c6 back. And now he's thinking, can he do something here to win this game? He played rook e8, I play king b7, and now we looked at each other's and agree on a draw. That was very intense game. For some part he was pressing, and on the other half I was pressing. So we had mutual attacks, and it's very solid game, I can tell. We are proceeding in the next round with 5.5 points out of 6. Very great result until now. Most probably getting another tough opponent, and I'll see you in the next one.
Like fluid etwas.
Yeah. Well, before I play queen to queen
I mean, I like instead of knight takes f6, just knight takes d6.
but
Take my bishop pair.
yeah, but
You have g5, hit my knight.
yeah, but C. I thought about like c takes d6 and you play rook c8, or even rook c8, even queen takes d6.
No, she takes d6, bishop takes d4.
Because queen takes queen d6. But what do you after knight takes d6, queen takes d6? What do you do?
Castle.
Long castle, long castle. Yeah, but then you come also with c5.
Actually, sorry, no, g5 directly.